and welcome to 5 Minutes with David. Today I want to share with you one important value that everyone should have: taking responsibility. Now I want to start it off with a movie that I have watched. I have watched it several times, Pirates of the Caribbean. In one particular sequel, The Dead Man's Chest. In this particular scene, Jack Sparrow took his crew to visit a goddess. And when they got there, Jack Sparrow told his first mate, Mr. Gibbs, mind the boat. Mr. Gibbs also turned around, and the next person to him, he said, mind the boat. The next person, that person also turned around and then said to the next person, mind the boat. Now it went on till it got to the man who couldn't talk. He was mute. And so when it got to his turn, his parrot, that was speaking for him, also said to the man, mind the boat, and the parrot flew away. So it was left with the man to mind the boat. Now, why am I saying this? This thing speaks perfectly about the generation that we live in. It speaks perfectly about most of our lives. People like to share responsibilities. They don't want to take responsibility for anything. Now today, I want us to talk about taking responsibilities, not only for ourselves, but for our country. Very, very important. Now, we hear this a lot, take responsibility. We hear at home, at school, in our workplaces. We hear this every day thrown at us. Now, what is taking responsibility? First, let's start small. What does it mean to take responsibility in our lives? Responsibility is not just a word. It is a daily choice. It is keeping our promises, showing up. It is owning up our mistakes and fixing them instead of blaming others. It is doing the right thing even when people are not looking. Taking responsibility is the basis it is the foundation for everything good. If we cannot manage our own life, we cannot amount to anything great. First of all, we are responsible for our own lives, for our families, for our work. But beyond all that, we are responsible for something greater. That is, being responsible to our country. As citizens, being responsible to our country is the greatest thing that we can do. Now, a country is not managed by government alone. A country cannot improve, cannot grow only by a government alone. And we cannot depend only on the government to do everything. Now, John F. Kennedy, he said something great that I want to share with us. He said, ask not your country of what it can do for you, but ask yourself what you can do for your country. In fact, most of us love to go to the US, but the US was not made great alone by its government, but it is, and it was by men and women who took it upon themselves to do something great. That is why US is great. Every ordinary person has a role to play. When we are disciplined, hardworking, honest, and law-abiding, we are already serving our country. When we protect our environment, we protect our culture. When we live with integrity, we are helping our country grow from the inside. Now, we all know of the story of David and Goliath. I believe we all love this story because it's a story that gives hope. It is a story that says even the small can overcome the great. In 1 Samuel 17, it talks about how David defeated Goliath. And we all love this story. But there is one thing that we almost nearly forget. That David took responsibility when Saul was running away from it. When he got there and he heard how Goliath was cursing the Israelites, he took it upon himself to fight Goliath. That was taking responsibility. Now, be responsible. I'm not saying that be like David, go and kill any Goliath. No. But being responsible is being honest in our workplaces. Being responsible is being trustworthy in the small things that we do. Being responsible is doing our work as if that work that we are doing is for us. Now, we live in a country or in a continent where we like to blame others. If the government could do that, if my mom had done that, if my father had done that, if my teacher had done that. Yes, they did not, but what are you doing? Are you taking responsibility for your own life? That is the most important thing. Taking responsibility starts from us. We cannot expect others to be responsible when we are not. We need to be responsible. As a student, we need to be responsible to ourselves, to the books that we study. We need to study. As a parent, you know, we always every day complain that the government is not doing anything. The government is not helping. But have we thought that this government and these leaders that we always complain about, they are from our communities? So as a parent, if we don't, as a parent, as a community, if we don't bring our children up the way that we would want them to be, if we want our government, our leaders to behave and to live by their promises and to do things that will help our community, our country, then we need to bring our children up in the same manner. Because if we leave them to do all sort of things, we cannot expect them to do something greater when they become leaders. As parents, we need to be responsible. So the rot that we see in leaders these days is as a result of how our communities brought up our leaders.